Welcome back to Theology with Puppies. I'm Jonathan Hill. And again, if you like this material, remember to click like, share, and subscribe. You know what to do. I want to return to Triads 3.1.31 and this idea that wisdom and virtue only manifest the energy but are not the energy itself, that wisdom and virtue are not energies, and that the divine names are only predication of the divine energy, and that they are not the energy itself, and that they are not energies themselves. Okay. So again, let's go over predication and attribution. When a subject talks about an object, they are applying an attribution. In this way, it is more about the one applying the attribution than it is about the object which is having the attribution applied to it. Okay, this is the thing about predication and attribution. Okay, again, both of them regard the subject more so than they regard the object. Okay, I'm going to read through again Triads 3.1.31, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about it. There's a lot more to be said about what Palamas is saying here. Since the deifying gift of the Spirit is an energy of God, and since the divine names derive from the energies, God could not be called God if deification consists only in wisdom and virtue. But he is called God on the basis of his deifying energy, while wisdom and virtue only manifest this energy. He can no longer be called more than God by reason of his transcendence in respect of this divinity. It would have to suffice to call him more than wise, more than good, and so forth. So the grace and energy of deification are different from virtue and wisdom. And this is true. And there is a way, which I was thinking about last night and is the whole focus of this video today, there is a way of looking at the created world in such a way that we can articulate what Palamas is saying. And that is our own participation with wisdom and virtue in the world. Let me back up. I wrote, probably last week now, a status that you cannot have knowledge of your knowledge, it's just knowledge, right? So that knowledge is knowledge, wisdom is wisdom, virtue is virtue, okay? Now what I mean by this is when you are a child and you are not wise and you have no knowledge, or you have a very limited amount of knowledge, you nonetheless have some knowledge and some amount of wisdom. And then as you get older, you progress in knowledge and wisdom. Okay, you progress in your participation with knowledge and wisdom, and with your acquisition of knowledge and wisdom, so that others could say that you are knowledgeable or that you are wise. Again, if they were to say that, that would be their understanding of your knowledge and of wisdom. Again, it's about them, not about you. But nonetheless, we do progress in knowledge and wisdom in creation. And should we live forever in creation, we would be participating with knowledge and wisdom and virtue forever. So if we participate with knowledge and wisdom, and we forever become more knowledgeable and more wise in creation, how much more so would that be when we participate directly with the divine energy? You see what I'm saying? So because wisdom and knowledge and virtue and these things in the created world, their participation with them is essentially eternal, but they're still in this world. How much more so must the source of that wisdom and that virtue and that knowledge be eternal and be, right? So the energy must be beyond being. If an atheist or a Buddhist or a Muslim can participate with virtue and knowledge in the created world in an eternal way, they're not hesychasts. They're not participating directly with the divine energy. Otherwise, we must say, this is the thing that Palamas was saying before in my previous video. I think it was 78 or maybe it was 74. of the 150 chapters, that participation with the energy is not merely natural, because we're always participating naturally with it, right? And so these things that we predicate of the energy cannot possibly be the energy. Otherwise, we would be saying that like creation would be eternal. We would have to say that the wisdom and the knowledge which exists in creation is eternal. But it's in creation. It's here. My knowledge of a tree, my knowledge of a created thing, can always become more. Always become more. Right? But is that participation direct with the direct energy of God? Is that direct participation with the energy of God? I don't think so. Otherwise, any kind of scientific knowledge that we obtain about the world would de facto be hesychastic. That's absurd. So, looking at how these predicates work, I'm trying to give you another example, another angle, another way of looking at this, of how the predicates of the energy are not the energy. The divine names are not the divine energy, and they cannot be, because they are from us to it. It is something that we are attributing to that. But God, in his essence and energy, because that is who and what God is, right, is beyond that. He is beyond attribution. I'm going to link below. I won't read it here, but I'll link below in the comment section a great section from Dionysius. Quote from Dionysius the Areopagite on mystical theology and how there are no attributes in God, how he's even beyond number and unity. So to say that God is one or that God is union is erroneous. And of course, we would have to accept that that's true, right? Because one or unity is something that we are applying to God. And so he is beyond it, right? He's beyond all affirmation and negation. This dictum cannot be assailed, right? He is beyond all affirmation and all negation. He is beyond all attribute. So again, to recap, because we can forever participate in wisdom and virtue in the world, if we were to say live forever, wisdom and virtue therefore cannot be the divine energy. The energy must be something else, or we're saying that creation is eternal, and that creation is just the energy of God, rather than the product, the effect of the energy of God, right? So wisdom and virtue, as Palamas says, they manifest the energy. That is, they are products of and effects of the divine energy, but they are not the energy themselves, right? Me building a house, that house is a product and an effect of my human energy, but that's not my human energy. You can't point at a house and say, that's that guy's human energy. That's the effect of his human energy. See the difference? So again, we have to be very careful how we understand predicates, how we understand predication, and how we understand attributes, and how we understand attribution, right? From the subject to the object. And it is more about the subject than it is about the object, right? And this is important too regarding how we participate with the logi, right? And what the logi are. The energy manifests the intelligible content, right? But we can't come to any kind of, do I want to say spiritual, right? We can't just say that a scientist who's analyzing the world in a mundane, secular, scientific manner is going to come to some application or knowledge of the logi, right? That's not going to happen. That's done through prayer and through the church and through participation in the sacraments, right? Not through some natural application of scientific, rational knowledge. So again, this is yet another way of which the logi are not divine energies, and they're not the divine names. These things are all different. The divine energy, the logi, the divine names. They are each their own category. They're not conflated. So we have to walk back. We have to step back from this Neopalamism of thinking that everything about God that we know is an energy. That's just That's just nonsense. That would mean that creation is eternal. That would mean that our scientific knowledge of creation is some kind of hesychastic spiritually elevated thing of the nous. That rational knowledge of the world is how we come to know God. This is not true, right? So, just over 10 minutes. Peace. Take care.